Hello and welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin. And hello stranger to anyone new to the channel. There's a bit more light there. I'm going to talk to you about a band there's a load of buzz about and a lot of anticipation for their debut album. This is Legions of a Different Kind by Undeath. I've been following the band for about a year now. So I think maybe last year, maybe the beginning of this year really. This year's been a bit of a write-off, hasn't it? But yeah, I've got a few other bits. I first saw them featured on a YouTube channel. I think it was Ground Zero Salem, and I just checked them out and went from there really. What's a brand new band really. I mean, their first release was in 2019. They're from Rochester, New York. Three-piece. And what really impressed me really, it kind of harkens back to the first Pig Destroyer album when that came out. It was amazing that that fucking awesome wall of sound that you were just getting attacked by was just done by three people, you know. And I think what really struck out with this band was that they did so much with really minimal amount of resources or whatever. You know, they were just a three-piece. The drummer did the artwork. They put out these cool demos. They put things out on cassettes, and they just did cool stuff with not a lot of, you know, bells and whistles. But what they did use, I mean, like look, with this, you've got like sort of black and white artwork, but the artwork is really cool. And they always did. They did the most with very little and made something very cool with that, you know. And the same really goes for the music. I mean, this is their first demo from 2019, which is simply entitled Demo 2019. You've got like a cool picture there of them in a graveyard. And it's just nice, cool, sort of swampy, dirgy, just dirty death metal, really. But they've got really nice, thick, effective riffs. Kind of Sabbathy in a way. They're not like really shredders or anything like that. There's no like thrashiness or anything like that. Just good, straight ahead, just straightforward death metal really. But they're not rehashing anything. They're not ripping anyone off. There's no one really I can sort of point to and go, yeah, they're basically just doing that band. You know, there's a couple of good bands there at the moment, but you think, yeah, Morbid Angel, you know, and you don't really get that with this band. And they followed it up same year. This EP's called Sentient Autolysis. I think that's it. What struck me though, like with a song like, what was the Phantasmal Festering? That fucking just that riff, that you know, the songs are just, they're catchy. They just go straight in, you know. And there's like a song like what was it, Ineffable Tumult or Unadorned Coffin. They have these really cool sections sort of in the middle of the song, but it's, I guess it's just a solo really, but it kind of goes all, it goes like a, you know, it just kind of goes off on one for a little while and then draws you back in. And it was just obvious that there was something cool about this band. They were doing something a little different, and they just understood what they would, you know, they understood death metal. They're young guys, but they're not just making a racket. They know what they're doing. But this is probably the best thing to get to begin with, is the compilation of Decomposition. Can't really. And yeah, not really. This camera's, there's too much for the camera to pick up really, but this came out on cassette as well. And this is everything on these two demos together in a one-stop shop, and you even get a live set, a radio session, followed by an interview. So that's definitely a one-stop shop that covers everything you need to know. And then that leads us to the debut album. Now this is out on Prosthetic Records, so no one, it's never done anyone any harm being signed to them. They seem to have a knack as well of picking up a good band and just projecting them to better and bigger things. I guess Lamb of God notably is the one really prime example of a band that they picked up early and then just shot off, and look how big they became. You got a decent production on this, but they've still managed to retain that dirty, muddy feel, but it's still quite clear. Trevor Stranard from the Black Diala Murder pops up on the 3rd track, so him and the vocalist Alexander do a bit of back and forth, and I think Cody Davison from Rashajabab, whatever the fuck they're called, does a guitar solo on the 1st track. But yeah, this is just, it's what you want from a debut album. It's just 10 well constructed songs. I've mentioned that this is a 3-piece, but they've just recently done a live stream, and they've now, that was their sort of unveiling really of a 5-piece, which I think is a good idea. I think it will give the songs a bit more scope. And yeah, the whole 3-piece thing, it's all right for a while, but there's only so far you can go with it. You end up like the fucking being a death metal White Stripes or something like that. I mean, even Pig Destroyer, they started off as a 3-piece, but they're a 5-piece now, so I think it's a good move. But yeah, you've got just 10 well constructed. It plays like a live set as well, and I think that's one thing about this band. They've got the live show in mind, and this plays like just a fucking well constructed live set really. None of the songs outstay their welcome, none of the songs are particularly long. I mean, it's 35 minutes in total, and I don't think there's 2 songs on this album, no, 3, that go over the 4-minute mark. Nothing hits 5 minutes, and everything's straight to the point. You've got like just really good riffs and the songs are just perfectly paced. They'll chuck in a really good sort of funny section, but then come back into bring it back round to the beginning. I'm trying to think of like standout songs, but in all fairness, they do kind of congeal together. But it's a good 35-minute listen of good riffing. Good. They know when to chuck a bit of groove in as well. That's really important. They know to pace it out and keep it catchy. You know, a song like Acidic Twilight Legions, for example, I mean, that was a bit of a standout one. Kicked in the Protruding Guts. I remember that being a nice fit. I mean, that one might be playing now, I think. But yeah, it's just, you know, they just chuck in a dun 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 dun, and then, you know, it's the way the songs are just perfectly placed out. So yeah, really good, enjoyable debut album, well worth checking out. I guess the best thing I can think of to describe it is take Incantation, and I know every fucking band that comes out at the moment seems to be a rip-off of Incantation, but they're not like that. Just think that, tell you what to think of. Think early Cannibal Corpse. Think Butchered at Birth era Cannibal Corpse, with the sort of dirty, thick, you know, sludginess of Incantation. I would say probably Butchered at Birth era Cannibal Corpse. I mean, they're not Tomb of the Mutilated Cannibal Corpse or The Bleeding. I mean, those songs were they were like hits. Hammer Smashed Face. You know, that was just an instantly recognisable song that everyone knows, and I think that's the next step for this band. I think they need to write some songs that they need to write like a hit, you know. They need to write like a track that just sticks in people's heads, that can be played anywhere, and I think they're capable of it. I think there's a lot of potential here, a lot to be excited about, and I think that's what this album is. It's what a debut should be. It's a good statement of intent. That's what I think I'm building up to. Quick note: there's 2 songs on here, so from this era of the band. Phantasmal Festering, I think that's what's playing now, and Archfiend Coercion Methods from the demo stage are re-recorded for this and sounds just as good. Let's put these down here. So yeah, I think overall a good 8 out of 10. This is, yeah, a really good, promising album. This band, you know, got good momentum behind them. I think they're going to do well. Obviously, once touring comes on, I think they're going to get on some good, with the right management and the right people. You know, if they could get on like a Cannibal Corpse tour or something like that, they'll be unstoppable. And I do think going forward, you know, they've certainly not messed about. They've done, from just last year to now, they've done a bunch of EPs, a new album. They're pretty creative as well, so I think you're probably working on a new album already. But I do think this is a really good, promising debut album, but I don't think it's a classic album. But a classic is to come. I do think there's really good potential with this band. They got, this really just establishes the vibe of what, you know, of what they're about. But yeah, really good stuff, really exciting. Well done, lads. Undeath, check them out. See you next time.